Welcome to Bari Banter, where we talk everything bariatric surgery with the people that know it best, the patients. I'm Shannon, and I'm here with my co-hostess with the mostest,
Lita. So sit back, relax, and remember, sip, sip, sip.
Welcome to 2021, Lita. Bari Banter, new year. Not a new intro. Should be a new intro. We will do a new intro.
No, I have had so much feedback being like, don't change what isn't broken.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
I kind of want to make it more community-based, get more of everyone else's voices, and because that's what it's about. It's about, not just us, about everyone else that comes in, and so I don't know.
We'll see.
I don't know. Yeah, it's true though. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
It's like a little song. And remember, sip, sip, sip.
I have some people that go, I just can't. I just skip it. But yeah.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. 2021, please be better than 2020. Please. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It hasn't got off to the best start for me. I broken fridge, broken TV. Puppy's got a little lump on her, so I need to take her in. So it's all good. Keep moving forward. Relentless forward motion.
In all fairness, your fridge broke and your TV broke in 2020.
No, but it's 2021 is the issue. It's the same as
true.
Yeah,
fair enough. Are you one to make, what are they called? New Year's resolutions?
I used to be. Not so much these days. I used to be, and at 90% of the time it used to be, this year I got on top of my weight. Have you? Are you a New
I used to be a resolutions person. Again, it used to be like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get fit. But I find them just such broad goals that I do a New Year's mantra. So last year, my mantra was to be mindfully present and just try and stay focused on that. And this year, it's stay focused and make it happen. So
Make it happen.
Make it happen. You can just stay focused on whatever goal it is, take baby steps and just make it happen.
Well, I think that is what's changed now. It's like I've always got goals now where I used to just go through the motions of life, and then every year I'd be like, what do I want to do next year? You know what I mean? Because it was just you going through the motions. So I think now it's like, yeah, I have goals, but I don't call them New Year's resolutions. It's just forward motion, just keep moving towards the goals that I'd already set for myself. So.
I think that's why I like to make a mantra or a word to live by, because it's kind of like my first 2 years ago it was balanced, because I really wanted to try and live a balanced lifestyle, and then last year was mindfully present, so just, stay in the moment sort of thing. This year is stay focused and make it happen.
Acknowledgement words. So when you find yourself straying, you kind of go back to those words and be
pretty much something that you can live by for the whole year to keep you on track is what I do. But talking about goals and resolutions, what are some of your big goals for 2021?
This year, a lot. Just keep plowing along. I do want to step up my training this year and really focus on just seeing what this vessel is capable of. But yeah, obviously I want to do the trip around Australia. I want to do Blackall 100, which is a 100-kilometre trail event. I don't know why, because literally I finished the 50K this year and was like, never again, never doing an ultra again. That was just disgusting. And then the next day I was like, well, you know what? 100 doesn't sound too bad. So probably that. I do want to do a half Ironman. I don't know if that's going to be this year or next year. But yeah, a lot, endless. The more I do, the more I discover, the more I go, oh, I'd love to do that. Yep. I didn't even know Ironman was a thing, and now there's Ultramans, and it's just blowing my mind. How about you?
Well, I am the queen of booking things last minute, so I can't tell you what I'll be doing next weekend, let alone for the rest of this year. But I do have the Blackall 50 is a big one for me. I want to do the 50-kilometre trail run, which is throughout the year I'll just start by chipping away at some smaller ones, and there's a half marathon on the road thrown in there, and I think there's been talk about doing a few little triathlons here or there. So my biggest goal, as you just said, is just keep on going, just keep moving forward. I do want to slowly start getting faster with my running again, get it back to where it was pre-COVID. So yeah, just small little things to... But the biggie is Blackall 50.
Yeah, and finding that balance. But I think everyone's balance is different, and that for me, I've found a good balance now of, I enjoy pushing my body, and I enjoy seeing what it's capable of, and I enjoy feeling fit. Like the amount of times I run or something, and then I'm just like, wow, I'm like this isn't as hard as it used to be and stuff like that. And that's a real motivation thing for me. Just to, it's kind of like a goal outside of a goal.
Yeah. Actually, another big goal of mine is to getting my body working properly again. So hopefully getting on top of all my ovary issues and all that sort of thing.
Yeah,
so,
big one.
I have actually got to have a blood test done in the coming days and then see where I'm at. So, But on that note, why don't we get our guest in for today? So
our first guest of the year.
Guest for 2020. Our guest today is approaching his 3-year surgeversary, being sleeved back in 2018 in April, weighing in 175 kilos. He's managed to maintain a 90 kilo loss and gained a rock hard mindset in the meantime. Not really sure who we're talking about here.
Yeah.
If you haven't guessed it, our first guest is Shannon himself.
What's the chance to that? Like, I was like, wow, I think that sounds very familiar.
sounds familiar.
Can I just start by saying, massive honor to be here, Selena. Huge fan. Literally huge fan.
Is this your first podcast? No.
Yeah, I'm nervous.
You're nervous?
Yeah.
Congratulations on your ride, Shan. I think everybody wants to give you a pat on the back for that. Like, what you did was an absolute achievement. Like, I can't even put into words.
You can't even.
Yeah. But the reason why we wanted to get you on the show, obviously, was because everybody wants to find out about your ride and like just figure out what it was that made you want to do these crazy things. But I think before we get there, in order for us to sort of maybe figure out your mind a little bit more, let's take it back to prior to weight. Yeah, going to go
back.
deep with you.
Right.
Let's go before weight loss
scares
surgery.
me. Yeah, okay.
What were you like at school? Talk us about Shan at school.
I was, very lost. I didn't have a lot of friends. I had friends, but they weren't friends, you know. Like, I think I made my real friends, the guy friends I have in, like, grade 11 and had that foundation of good friends. Like, I was the library monitor. I used to spend most lunchtimes putting away books just because I just had this real trust issue, you know, going through. I was very heavily bullied, very heavily bullied, like to the point I used to have like shirts, like drills put in shirts, and my shirts ripped off.
So were you overweight at high school?
No, yeah, like I wouldn't say like obese, but I was bigger, but it didn't help. I had red hair, I had freckles, my name was Shannon, you know, I had a birthmark on my knee, and I was an easy target. And I talked to one of my bullies after school actually, and he kind of said, he goes, I'm really sorry. Like, he apologized. Like, he goes, I was so mean to you at school. But it was just you, because I'm always been a smiley person. Like, like I always try and be positive. And he said that was one of the big things that made them do it, because they just wanted to break me. Like, they were just like, you know, they used to say stuff or do stuff to me, and then I would smile it off, and like, you know, you could tell it was hurt, but I'd smile it off and walk away. And he said it was just always, it frustrated them that they just couldn't break me. And I kind of took that as a accomplishment, but it was also like very nasty. I was like, you know, just be nice. Like, it's not that hard.
Because that's quite interesting, because like I was severely bullied at school as well, like all through primary school, all through high school, but I was overweight. So I was an easy target, and my name was a leader. So they used to always be like, oh, how much like milk have you drunk? A liter of milk? Is that why you're so overweight? Like, so it's interesting that it's stupid.
Only a liter?
Yeah. It's interesting to say that, like, because I was overweight my whole life pretty much. So it's interesting to say that you just were an easy target because you were just this happy. Like, obviously you were a little bit overweight.
Yeah, I was definitely overweight. Like, I was not, you know, skinny. But yeah, I had a little bit of extra meat on the bones. But I wouldn't have said like it escalated a lot more after school. But I was always a bigger kid. Like, I was taller, I was bigger, like I was just, you know, an easy target.
But you played football and all those sorts of things, so you never let it really hold you back from doing things?
No, and I think like it's like a lot of things. Like with bullying, I accepted it as that's life.
Yeah.
You know, because it was my life throughout primary school, throughout high school. It was just like, you know, getting teased. And it got to a point where I remember watching the Eminem thing, and he did that rap, and he was like, you know, now tell me something I don't like. These people don't know about me. And I remember seeing that, and I was like, and then I went into this mentality of I was almost, which isn't a good thing, but I used to put myself down so other people couldn't, and make a joke out of myself. And it did take a little bit of the pressure off, but it also isn't a good thing, because it got stuck in my head. People used to laugh, and then I just kept doing it. But it also degrades my own self-worth by doing that, because I was constantly putting myself down.
Yeah, it's the same as in Pitch Perfect. She calls herself Fat Amy.
Yeah.
Because if she already classes herself as fat, then nobody else can call her Fat Amy. Like,
no, exactly right. It's like almost like saying like, you know, it isn't going to hurt me, when really it does.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely ingrains into your head, especially some of these, you know, insults and different things, and not being picked for anything and left out. Like, I play football and stuff like that, but I was never, you know, one of the boys, you know, like I was always like, I'd play really hard, and I'd give it everything I had, purely because I just wanted to be accepted to a degree. So, that's kind of my primary school. Like, it wasn't enjoyable, and I'm so glad it's over. I would never choose to go back to school. I chose not to go to my 10-year reunion and stuff like that, because I was kind of like, I just don't want to put myself in that situation, and I don't want to be fake to people that weren't the nicest to me and stuff like that. So I just, it wasn't pleasant, but I made some good friends out of it, and I learned all the lessons, and my skin got a lot thicker.
So fast forward a few years, you've been pretty open on your socials about this too. You were married for 10 years, and that broke down quite early on in your weight loss surgery journey. How did you manage this? Seems like because you
Had they managed to get divorced? Or how
how did you? Well, yeah, no. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
How did you manage the stresses and the emotional side of that? Because like it happened just before surgery, and then you obviously you used to turn to food and alcohol for your emotional side of things.
100%. And I think I didn't handle it well. Let's just put it that way. Like it really hit me like a sledgehammer. I didn't know how to deal with it. You know, not only was it food and alcohol were two big coping mechanisms for me, but my ex-wife used to be my big coping mechanism. I used her a lot as a filter. So if I was going through a hard time, she helped me process it. She helped me get through it. And then not having her, not having food, not having alcohol, because it was literally, you know, she left like a week before surgery. She was still around and like supportive, and I thank her for that. But it just, no, she didn't live at home anymore. I was by myself. I didn't know how to cope. And that's, you know, why, you know, a week after surgery, I went through the really tough mental stage where I did contemplate suicide. Like no more than contemplated, I was going to go through with it. And I look back now and I'm like, I realized it was just because of the situation I was in, and it was just like, it was too hard to bear. And
what made you get out of that situation? Because you've said it before. You drove to the forest, and you were getting. What was it that stopped you from going over the edge?
It was a thought of my mum and sister, because I've always said suicide to me is something that I see as it's an easy way out, and it's also like a selfish way out.
Yeah.
And the thought of leaving my mum and my sister behind was a huge thing for me. And I remember thinking about that and how that's going to, especially my mum. Like my mum, like, you know, we're very close, and it would just absolutely destroy her. So not only am I going to destroy my own life and take it away, it was, you know, it was a reflection of that. And also because I've always said, when you get to rock bottom, it's a very powerful point, because there's only one way you can go.
You can't go anywhere.
You can't
else.
go down,
Yep.
you know? So you have nothing to lose, everything to gain. And so I decided not to, you know, the night before I'd opened up to my mum and told her a lot of stuff that I hadn't told her in the past. And I think that also helped as well, because I got a lot of stuff that I'd been holding on deep inside my thoughts that had happened to me earlier in my life. And I opened up to her about it. And, you know, that was almost therapeutic, I think. And I'm so glad now I didn't, because I realized I'm not that kind of person. Like that I was just in a really bad place. Health-wise, I was in a really bad place. I was just mentally not in a good place. And I look back now and I'm like, it was silly to think that, and that was the only option. But at the time, it was just absolute agony. Like heartbreak
It's hard to think about you being in that mind frame, because I met you, you know, sort of 6 months into the journey, and you were such a positive, and you have been such a positive person, and you even said that like at school and everything, you were a positive person. So I just can't imagine you being so low that's where you ended up.
Well, I think it was also a combination of I'd worked so hard. Like I'd given away my 20s to build a life for my wife and me, to have kids and build this foundation of society accepted, you know, the way I should be living and stuff like that. And then to have it all ripped out, it was kind of like, you know, it just felt like, you know, it was like 30 for me was like, this is where I should be. Like I worked really hard. This is where I get to enjoy life. And the rug got ripped out, and I was kind of like, well, what now? Like it's pointless. Like restart, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that played a lot into it, because there was a lot of external pressures. Like, what are people going to think? Like, you know, I've failed, you know, a lot of that kind of thing. It was very, it was a lot going on. And I said this to my ex-wife the other day. I said, I think I would have handled it a lot differently now than then. It was like, not only were I dealing with, you know, having gastric sleeve, not being able to eat as much, we were dealing with the whole struggles that come with that. I also I couldn't deal with alcohol, and I was I relied a lot on alcohol, especially like in the last year before surgery and stuff like that. Like I was very heavily into, that was my coping, along with gaming and stuff like that. That was my coping mechanism. So yeah, I found it really hard, but it was also like, I look back now, and it's, as much as it sucked at the time, I'm so thankful it happened, because it taught me so much. Like, and that's why I constantly say to people, like, you know, tough times don't last, tough people do. And if you're willing to take the lesson out of every situation, it's good or bad. Like, you know, everything you do in life comes with a lesson. And for me, there was so many lessons. One about, you know, the situation, and also about your mental health, and, you know, dealing with things and just trying to like process things and realize that, you know, there's other ways to deal with stuff. So,
forgive me if I'm overstepping, but do you think that if you had still been in a relationship with your ex-wife, that you would be the person that you are today? Do you think that you would have taken the same path that you're on now?
Well, I talked to her about it the other day. We had a conversation about it, because I said I would never have separated from her, ever. Like I was the death do us part kind of husband. Like I would, like, you know, my fridge broke, my TV broke, I rip it apart, I fix it. It's the same with relationships for me. I was never as unhappy as I was, and I look back now and I realize within that marriage I was not happy. Like I was sacrificing to being in that marriage, same as she was. Like, because we grew up together. We never became our individual selves. We just became a couple. We became us. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, she used to do parkrun and different things like that. But I honestly feel the freedom of being by myself and having to grow by myself and not being limited where I could grow and which direction I could go with my limit, like with who I am. I definitely played a massive part, I think. And so I would say no. Would I still have done well with weight loss surgery? I feel like yes, because it was kind of a tool that played into my strengths as it was. Because I was always very good at losing weight, but
Just
it was
couldn't keep
the
it
food
off.
addiction was real. Like and you know, having this tool, it just kind of took that pressure away of constantly being focused on food, enough that I could refocus and look elsewhere for habits and different things to form.
Yeah. Well, you've definitely refocused and you're a massive inspiration to everybody in this community, I think. Well, most people in this community. You were obviously at your rock bottom, 2018 surgery time. Mental health was obviously quite unstable.
Yeah.
How's your mental health going now?
Good. Like, you still have struggles within life. Like, and like that's one thing I get criticized about a lot is I don't really you put a lot of the negative side of things across. And honestly, because it's something I try not to give it too much mental space. And for me to take the time to sit down and say, today I had a bad day, it was a crap day and things didn't go to plan and I just wasn't in a good headspace. That's giving that negative thoughts more time in my head than it deserves. And that's one way I've learned to deal with things. It's like I think about it, I process it, but I can't change it. I move forward. Because, at the end of the day, it's only an issue if you're willing to make it an issue.
Yeah, and the longer you spend on it, the longer it can potentially stay an issue.
No, exactly right. And it's also, if you can't change it, what's the point in stewing over it? Yep. So that's one thing for me is I always just if I can't fix it or I can't make moves to fix it, I move past it. Yes, I still have dark days. I have bad days. But definitely it's 95-5, but I don't let that 5% control my life.
One of those dark days I'll talk about shortly when you got hit by a car. But before we get there, you've got a pretty impressive list of personal achievements. Starting back in November of 2019, I think, we did the Noosa Try as a team, which was kind of what started it all.
Yeah.
You're a sub 20, which means that you run 5 kilometres in under 20 minutes. You came third in your age category at the Bari Try, your first ever try that you did. You've finished an Olympic distance triathlon. You run a half marathon in under an hour 30. You're an ultra marathoner. You've been hit by a car, but then despite...
is that an accomplishment? That's an accomplishment? You got hit by a car. Well done.
Well done. You're a
Gold
real
star.
cyclist now.
Yeah, good work.
But despite getting hit by a car, months later, you got back on your on your bike and you rode 777 kilometres from the Sunshine Coast to Taree. Pretty safe to say that it's pretty impressive. What you've achieved in the last 2 years is more than what most people would achieve in, a lifetime of training. So that's kudos to you. But do you think that you've simply replaced your addiction to food and alcohol with, achieving different fitness challenges?
100%. And I talk about this all the time, and it's not a bad thing. People always go you just transferred your addiction. Yeah, you have to. You can't be addicted to food and beat the food addiction.
Is it an addiction though? Can you stop if you wanted to?
Yeah, I don't think so now. I think it's not so much, it's accomplishment is my addiction. So it's feeling that sense of accomplishment. What was it my surgeon was saying? It's got the same endorphins as skydiving. What's that called? It's adrenaline. Yeah, adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Yeah, it is adrenaline. So the sense of accomplishment is adrenaline. So I get a real rush from that, doing something my body hasn't done before and pushing myself. That's what I'm addicted to. That's what I work for. I work so hard for that finish line feeling. I put a lot of work into to getting across that finish line, looking up or whatever it is, and then being I did great. I'm proud of myself, you know. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like food or alcohol where it was doing damage to my body. And I'm never going to be excessive. And I'm very for me where I'm at, I don't feel like it's excessive. If I listen to my body, I kind of, if my knees get sore, I take a little break. I push my body, but there's a difference between pushing your body and breaking your body. So, it's an addiction, and I don't think it's one of those things. I don't want to quit it. So I don't think it's
there are no meetings as well. Hi, I'm Shannon, and I'm a reformed ultra marathoner.
That's it. So I don't. It's definitely. I wouldn't even. It's an addiction of accomplishment, not the exercise. The accomplishment, and I think I can get that accomplishment in many different ways. So I'm not addicted to the exercise component. I'm addicted to the accomplishment and personal growth side of things. So yes, I'm addicted, and I wouldn't quit it. One of those stubborn addicts.
You are so stubborn. You're like, I just need my next fix. What's the next big thing that I can do?
I need a triathlon and ultra ASAP. No.
Right now.
Yeah.
So you were hit by a car in May 2020. It feels like so much longer ago, like longer than that. May 2020, you were hit by a car. You then decided, most people who get hit by a car on a push bike kind of give up or they have PTSD or that sort of thing. But nope, you decided that you were going to ride from your house on the Sunshine Coast to Taree in New South Wales in the middle of a pandemic where literally every single morning you were waking up and checking to make sure the borders weren't closing on you. What was it that made you want to do this?
Very good question. I ask myself that very frequently. It's again falls into the accomplishment. I just want to see, like, if I can.
Accomplishment? Oh, crazy! Like
you
could have been hit by not only a car but like a truck on the highway.
That was tough. Like that, like coming back from the car accident, that plays a lot still in my mental side of things. When I get on a bike, like riding down the highway, which is crazy. Like riding down in New South Wales, you can ride on the highway, and it's absolutely insane. Quicker, but insane. But it played in my thing of like any second now, I won't see someone coming, and it's lights out. It's game over. That obviously would play a part, but the wanting to accomplish it meant more. And I think that for me is like the accomplishment and the personal growth is worth more to me than most things. And one thing I always say is I would rather regret the things I did do than the things I didn't. So I'm always going to do things and give it a try, and then if I feel like, nah, this isn't safe, this isn't, if I ever feel that, then I might, say that enough's enough. But for me, I just want to keep chasing it and just seeing what's possible and show others what's possible. Like, I would never have thought in a million years, like, I used to get tired driving down there. I'm pretty sure I did get more tired driving back with you than I did actually riding down there, but for me, it makes myself proud. It's the biggest thing for me is the driving factor is just to make myself proud. That internal validation is huge and something I just keep striving for to try and understand. And
but there's a fine line between like achievement and crazy.
No, but yeah, I literally I started a whole thing, Team Crazy, join Team Crazy, like get on it. Like if other people think you're crazy, then you're doing it right because you're doing something that means more to you than others. So, and that's my biggest thing. I'm never going to be held back by others because I'm doing it for me.
So setting out on the morning that you left here, knowing that you had 6 solid days of 8+ hours worth of riding, you left here with a few of your mates. What was going through your head? Like, what were your fears? What were you looking forward to the most? Like, talk us through what was going through your mind.
Yeah, I think you realised on the morning I was very nervous. Like I was doing the whole gum chew. Like I chew my gum when I'm really nervous. And I was doing that a lot and I was very nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know how the body was going to cope. But having, you guys there, having Amy and Jeff, and I knew there was going to be friends with me on the first day. And I think, honestly, I was more nervous once they left, because they did first 40 Ks or something with me, 30, 40 Ks. And then I think it kind of hit me like, wow, I'm by myself now. Like I'm
for another 4 days, 5 days.
Because that was just felt like a friend ride. I did it all the time, ride with my friends, and that's what it felt like. And then once I was on my own, had on my pack, and I was like, okay, here we go, like game on. And it was just at the start it seemed very daunting. I had a few moments in that first day that was very daunting, but then as soon as I settled into it, it got easier. It got easier where I started breaking it down. Every 10 Ks, every 5 Ks, every time my watch clicked another 5 Ks. I wasn't aiming. I wasn't saying 180 Ks. That wasn't my goal. I was breaking it down as I went along. Get to this next town. Get to here.
Was there any points where you kind of like, what have I done
on the first day or in general?
Or both.
Well, I think on the first day was pretty chill. Like I just kept plugging along. I probably went a little bit harder than I should have. It wasn't until I think day 3. Day 3 was it was the day I wanted, but I think the day I didn't really expect would happen.
Because you talk about you want to break yourself. You want to see how far you can go before you break.
I want to see, fight or flight. Like that's one thing I haven't had yet, and I still am trying to get. But I think that was the closest I've ever come, because I do want to see if I do fight when times get tough. Like if I do, when I get to that point where it's like, nah, I'm out, no more. I just can't move. If I can. Go.
Because you had a similar moment after your car accident. You said that the person who witnessed your crash, they saw you hit the ground and they said that you were walking off the road because obviously you were in your fight or flight moment. And so obviously your brain was saying, I'm in danger. You don't remember doing it, but you got up and you got off the road to safety and then you blacked out once you got into safety?
No, it was like the driver pulled over and he looked back and he saw me on the ground because obviously I hit his car and I was out unconscious from when I hit his car. The ambulance asked me, did you lose consciousness? And I was like, no, I don't remember losing consciousness. I didn't lose consciousness. And the driver was like, no, you lost consciousness. He said he pulled over and then I was like 10 meters down the road and apparently I tried to get up 4 or 5 times and just kept falling on my face. And I don't remember that. So I was clearly unconscious, but it was good to know that even when I wasn't in a state of actually being able to process things, my body was still trying to fight.
Which I had a similar at Blackall. When I fell over, hit my head, I was definitely in concussion, but I knew that there was no one around me. But I knew that there was somebody probably about 50 meters in front of me. So I got myself up and I made it to the person that was in front of me. And the minute that I got to her, I blacked out and I was done. And I did the same thing. I was trying to get up 3 or 4 times and I couldn't, and anyway.
Yeah.
So same thing for me. Fight or flight, and
I think we all have it. It's just kind of seeing it is a real empowering thing.
So day 3, is that the closest you've come to breaking point?
I think ever. Like I think there was a lot that happened that day. It was only 136 Ks. I cut it short that day. Purely because it was just
136 Ks is cutting it short.
It's still a lot, but I went 186, 160 something, and then 130, and then I went 230 on the last day. And honestly, 230 made myself really proud considering what the 130 was like. Because as I said, I got detoured with the maps I was using, so I didn't know the route very well. So I was following this map, and it took me off a road that was supposed to be unsealed, but it ended up being just. I couldn't have got a mountain bike through there. It was just constant rocks. And I kind of went into these tree lines and it said 5Ks. And I was like, okay, 5Ks a bush. Like, how bad could it be? Didn't realize that it was actually 5Ks to the first corner within the bush. And it was actually 20 Ks to get through this forestry. And because it had been raining a lot down there, it was flooded. I took my shoes off 3 times. I had to carry my bike through flooded waters. I saw snakes. And the terrain, I was like, there's no way my bike's getting out of this. And honestly, take my hat off to my bike because I don't know how it got through that because it was rocky. It was big rocks and I was clipped in. And I think it did me in because I got it out of the forest and my knees were very sore. And it was just trying to keep my bike upright and constantly falling, but then trying to keep it up because you clipped in. And then
you didn't have all your, you did have all your stuff on your bike at this point in time too.
Yeah, because mum caught up with me at the end of that day and then took all my kit. And thank goodness she did because there's no way I would have been able to do on the 4th day with all that because I think that was a big lesson I took out of it is how much that extra weight plays a part on your body, especially when you go.
You should
off-road.
be used to carrying that sort of weight around.
Well, yeah, true. But no, not when it's
clipped in everywhere.
And you're trying to stay upright. And that was a tester one. And it surprised me. I've never been in that position. And again, fight or flight, because I got 5Ks in and it said, and then it updated and said 5Ks to the next corner. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do that again. And then it was a case of, well, I'm not going back because that took me so long to get through that 5Ks. I'm just going to keep playing forward, hope that I get another nice road or something that I can actually ride. Ride properly without absolutely clenching every part of my body. And then I got to that corner and then it was another 5Ks the next corner. It got to a point where it was like, if I didn't have my little satellite thing that I knew I could press if I got in trouble, there's no way. I would have bailed after the first 5Ks, made my way back. And it's kind of like, I probably should have, looking back, because I've never been, I was absolutely crapping myself going down the highway with trucks zooming by about a meter away from you, massive trucks. And I was like, oh, this is terrifying. After I got out of those bushes, it was like, oh, thank goodness. Give me the trucks.
Where are those trucks? Any day.
I'm going back to the highway. Give me those trucks. Because that was absolutely terrifying. Just not knowing if the bike, and I think that played a big part too, not knowing if that bike broke in those bushes, it's over. I'm done. I'm going to have to get someone to pick me up. I'm going to have to, I'm not going to be able to accomplish what I wanted to. But day 3, the knees, the body, it was definitely getting to that point of just being like, if it didn't finish when it did, I honestly don't know how much further I could have went. When I had to actually stop at a pharmacy and get painkillers because, my feet had really bad hot spots. My knees were absolutely aching. I couldn't feel my fingers because it was just trying to keep it upright. I must have been holding so hard, all the blood circulation in my hands were gone.
You've still got tingly fingers.
I still don't have feeling in my little fingers, but at least it's not all of them.
Your whole hand, yeah.
But I must have been clenching and it was quite rugged and rough riding, as I said to you, the last 20 Ks, I was in tears.
Yeah.
I was in tears. I was absolutely in so much pain. every hill, because with that much weight on, you can't sit down and you have to stand up, and that's putting a lot of pressure on your knees. And because my knees and stuff were so sore, I was just like, just clenching my teeth and just tears rolling down my face and just like, get up this hill.
What were the tears of frustration? Were they pain? What got you to the point of being? Because you said the next morning too, you were quite upset as well getting back on your bike.
Yeah, it was pain. It was just pure pain. Like everything was hurting. My knees were hurting. My mind. I was honestly just mentally and physically drained. Mentally because going through that bush stuff, it drained me. I got out of there. I was in there for like 2.5 hours to go 20 Ks or something like that. And I was just mentally and physically just drained. And it was just. Yeah, my body was in pain. And that's purely all it was. Like, I finished that day and I felt very proud of myself because I didn't give up. But then the next day, obviously waking up day 4, knowing I had to crack out a huge amount of kilometers just purely because we didn't know if COVID was going to stop us from making it to see family. And that was the main point. I wanted to get down, obviously, to see family and stuff like that. So I had to try and do as many Ks as I could to get as close as I could, just so I could, make my way down.
Which you smashed up 230 Ks.
Yeah, 232 Ks or something like that, which is insane. Like it's by far the most amount of Ks I've ever done in a day. And I loved it. And I probably, looking back, yes, like saddle sores, that was another one. Oh my God, saddle sores. Any cyclists out there that has had saddles, you know what I'm talking about, but like, yeah, it's not pleasant. It stings. It's not pleasant at all. So yeah, it was a tough one, and getting back on the bike the next day, and I spoke to you like for 2.5 hours on the phone. As soon as I got on the bike, I gave you a call, and I was just like, talk to me, distract me, because that first 30 Ks coming out of Grafton was just like uphills, downhills. And then highway riding, and I just wanted to get to that first 80 Ks where I could stop and have my coffee and have my breakfast and spend a bit of time with mum and just kind of distract myself. But it got easier as the day went on. Once I got over that 100 Ks and the next stop at 160, and then it was just like I was starting to really ride the accomplishment high. Yeah. Like, because I was feeling very accomplished as soon as I got past that 180 Ks. I was like, this is the most amount of Ks I've ever done in a day. Just keep going.
So adrenaline kicked in.
Oh, yeah. That accomplishment, the adrenaline, everything. It was just driving me down that highway, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
Your mum called me and she's like, I think he's sitting at around 200 kilometres now, and I keep on pulling over at every truck stop just to make sure that he's okay. And, we're almost at Port Mac, and he's fading. I can see it in his face. He's fading. And anyway, she hung up because she went past her again, and then when she called me again just outside Port Macquarie, she's like, having a chat, and she's like, oh, I can see him in my rear vision mirror. And then she goes, shit, he's just hit the car. And I had the biggest heart attack because I was like, what do you mean he just hit the car? Like, I've got this picture of you physically running into your mum's car and like flipping over the top. And she's like, that little shit, he just came and rode past with the biggest smile on his face and gave the back of my car this little whack and kept. I was like, Deb, you can't do that to me. You cannot tell me that whilst Shannon's riding a 200K plus day, he gets hit by a car.
Yeah. You're like, okay, so he didn't hit the car? Yeah, no. I rode past her because she kept pulling over at truck stops, and then I'd ride past her, and she'd usually be filming, and this time she wasn't filming because she apparently told me she filmed it every time, and I literally said to her, why did you keep filming me? Like, you filmed me like 8 or 9 times. And she goes, honestly, because it didn't work the first 8 times. So she got on the 9th time. That's why she was. I was like, okay, just technical issues. Okay. And then she didn't have her head out the window. So I just slapped her mirror on the way past and scared the crap out of her. So that was pretty funny. Definitely made a difference having mum there on the last day and having that. And that's why I said, like, with the Australia trip that I want to do, obviously later on, I definitely want to do it supported. Purely because I want to enjoy it as much as accomplish it. So doing it with the packs, it's going to make me do a lot less Ks, not have as much time to explore and see things.
But you won't be pulling quite as large days when you do the Australia trip, will you?
No, well, if I could probably do 150 a day without anything on, quite comfortably.
Yep. But with a vehicle, just to clarify, he won't be in the vehicle.
Yeah.
He will be on his bike.
But because otherwise it'd be 100K days with a full pack on, and trying to do Australia, which is like 20,000 Ks, it's just far too long. I want to do it in like 3 months or something like that. So doing it supported would make a heck of a difference. So got a lot more planning to do to kind of logistically work that out. But I want to enjoy it.
So I was going to ask you, what would you do differently next time? Is that purely it? How did your nutrition and everything go?
Yeah, good. I used a carb drink, Infinite, and it worked great. Felt great. I just made sure I stopped 3 times. And just, I tried to overfuel. That was my biggest thing, which is a weird thing to say, like I wanted to overfuel my body, but like I didn't want to underfuel because I'm not a muscular person. Like I have muscle and I can't afford to lose any of it. So I just had to make sure I was overfueling, getting the, when I'm burning like, what it was on last day, like 6,000 calories. My little app thing said I burnt 6,000 calories on that last day. And it's like, physically I can't consume that. And that's why Infinite came in with a carb drink with the sleeve and being able to consume those calories and stuff like that. But apart from that, it went great. Need to remember my butt butter next time because I couldn't find that the night before. I ordered it ages ago.
Turn the house upside down.
I just could not find it, and that would have made such a difference. Like I double patted, so it did well, but the butt butter would have made a heck of a difference because saddle sores definitely put a dampener on the whole thing. So next time, butt butter.
Highlight of the trip?
Highlight of the trip? I would say either when I set off with friends or the second day from Coomera to East Ballina, going through all the beach. It was on a Sunday.
Yeah, you loved going through Pottsville and stuff.
Pottsville, and surfers because I did it on a Sunday morning, so all the cyclists were out and I was getting to like talk to people and ride with people, and it was just a vibe. It was a really good morning. It was beautiful. Going through like Pottsville and stuff I'd never been through. All those back towns and little. I really enjoyed it. That's what I wanted, and that's what I want to achieve with the going forward with the Australia trip, being able to do those little towns and discover little towns and go to little cafes and meet people and enjoy it a little more. And that's why, like, I think doing it supported would allow me to, interact with more people and enjoy it and take more memories away from it. Because yes, I have memories from this trip, but a lot of it was just head down, butt up, go, go, go. Like just keep plowing forward, keep spinning the legs. And I want memories. That's why I do a lot of the things I do. So
I was really hoping that, sitting you down and having a chat to you and unfolding this whole process and figuring out why you did it would make me understand a little bit more and think that you weren't as crazy as what you actually are. But no, I still think that you're crazy.
I am. Like legit. Like I think anyone that does any ultra sport has a lot of demons. I think they have a lot of mental fuel in there and reasons why they do it, because you don't do it because, a lot of the time because you love it. You do it because it's giving you that proud moment, and you have to have a lot of inner strength, I believe, to do a lot of these things because, it hurts. Like you have to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. Like I have a high pain threshold, but like a lot of the time I'm sitting there in pain, like discomfort, and I have to be comfortable with that.
Isn't it funny that back in the day, you're uncomfortable used to literally be sitting on a chair playing your PlayStation, like you just sitting and doing nothing essentially. Used to be your uncomfortably comfortable, if that makes sense. Yeah. And now your uncomfortably comfortable is riding 150 plus Ks a day.
I said that the other day. Like I always go back to, I remember one day I was walking and I was getting shin splints from walking. And that's a big thing for me to go back. Like I remember I had, Daybreak at BY, and I didn't do as well as I was hoping. And my big thing was relating back to those times and just going, what I did today is insane compared to what I once was. And sometimes you can get wrapped up in like, I ran this time last week. I ran this time last month. But I think sometimes you just need to go, okay, 3 years ago, this would have never even come into my mind.
Because I think that's one thing that a lot of people who listen to our podcast, they're, at the beginning of their journey or they're just looking for some sort of inspiration and motivation, that sort of thing, want to hear the stories of other people. A lot of people look at you and think, yeah, but he's so far past his surgery date now, he's unattainable sort of thing. But you started at 175 kilos. You got shin splints from walking. You could hardly breathe when you were sitting down playing your PlayStation. Like you were there, and it's literally however much you're willing to put into your journey is what you can take out of it.
And that's exactly it. Now, I'm always trying to find that way to relay to people because I do understand that. Like I remember when I met Earl and I was like, wow, that's like so unachievable. And now it's not because obviously where I've got to. But, that's one thing I keep trying to say to people is I remember going to the gym and I could only, like I had lost a fair bit of weight, like 50 kilos, and I decided I wanted to run on the treadmills. And I got on the treadmills and I started running and I could hardly run 500 meters. Yeah. Like I literally was in pain. It was so hard, but I refused to just say that was it. Like I'm not a runner. Yeah. I got back on that treadmill the next time and the next time and the next time. And the biggest thing for success, if you want to be a runner or you want to be a cyclist, is consistency. Consistency and persistence. Like if you just keep going.
Stay focused. Make it happen.
Make it happen. Yeah. Like your mantra for the year. But that's it. Persistence. Like it never gets easier because you always want to strive for more. Yeah. But it does get easier if you compare it to where you first started.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I try and because I get it, and people like would be like, oh yeah, but like I don't want to do an ultra. But it's like you just have to start. Whatever your goals are, whether how big or small, it could be literally just to run around your kids, whatever it is. If you really want it, the first step's the hardest.
Yeah. 100%. And I remember that too. I remember when we first started doing parkrun, I was hell-bent against doing parkrun. I was like, there's no way you'll get me running 5 kilometers. Like, I'll do it, but when I see, the first runner coming, I will turn around and go back. That wasn't even that long ago, and now I consistently run 5Ks, and I'm starting to do more and more crazy things. But it just depends on, I said it in one of my posts the other day, part of the reason that I think that I've achieved is because I set a goal, and then once you reach it, you raise the bar. As long as you're always raising the bar, you've always got something to work towards. And for me at the moment, mine is to get back to where I was before my surgery, my gallbladder surgery before COVID, because I was running a lot faster and a lot more consistently than what I was now. So as long as I dropped the bar, so now I've got to pick it back up and raise it again.
Yeah, and saying that though, I think a lot of that, physically, you're probably fitter than you were. Honestly, but it's like it's all in your head. Yeah. It's all in your head. Remember Kyle on the weekend, he wanted to run a sub 25K, and Kyle I've always looked at as an amazing runner. And the only thing that was holding him back was his mental. Yep. He just, in his head, couldn't perceive doing it. And then he did it, and he smashed it.
And that's not to say that somebody who's 2 weeks out from surgery should sit here and be like, I want to run an ultra marathon next year, because you've got to work towards, fine if that's your goal, you could. But you've got to work towards it. Baby possible. Steps.
Yeah, it is. But the first step's always the hardest. Persistence, and if it means enough to you, you will keep it going. But also saying that you need to integrate habits within your life to make it happen. You can't just be like, I'm going to run 1 day a week, and next year I'm going to run an ultra. Yeah. It's just not feasible.
My goal of I want to do a half Ironman without actually training for it. Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
It would be a heck of a day. You could maybe do it. You do have a very strong mind, but it would be a very painful day.
It would be a very painful day.
But yeah, it is. And anything's possible. And I think that's one thing I always say is where I am now is uncharted territory.
Yep.
The goals I set as my big goals when I first started out on this process have come and gone. Because you've got to, honestly believe that, self-improvement and self-accomplishment is what makes self-worth. I actually look at myself and I like who I am now as much as other people may not. I do. And that's the most important thing to me. I can sit back and be like, I'm proud of myself for doing this. And it's giving me a self-worth, which I don't think I've had before. I haven't had it like this. I would never have, I used to really put myself down, and now I go, you know what? I like who I am.
Yeah.
Yes, I could do other people out there that are doing better than me, but I don't care because I'm doing me.
Yep.
And that I used to compare a lot, and I think compare is massive evil to putting you down and making you feel lesser about yourself. And if you can just accomplish what you can accomplish and be grateful for accomplishing it, you'll see that you actually really do like yourself. Everyone's awesome.
I did really want to bring it back because a lot of people listening to this, as I said, think that you're crazy. I think that you're crazy. You think that you're crazy for doing the stuff that you're doing, but crazy, you started somewhere. So anybody who thinks that what Shannon's doing is crazy, it is crazy. But he also started where you guys all are. There's
no reason you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to get to but it's just set your goals, and that's what it's all about. The sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do, you can actually do. As much as your mind may be telling you at the moment you can't, you can.
You can.
You can. Anyone can honestly do anything if they're willing to put the time, they're willing to put the energy into it, and actually believe they can do it. Because a lot of the times we are limited by our own limits that we set ourselves. We tell ourselves we can't do something, so we're never going to achieve it.
Yeah.
If you actually verbalize it and say, I can do this, and I believe I can do this, and then put in the effort to do it, you'll be surprised what you can actually accomplish.
Well, one of your first goals was being able to tie up your shoelaces without losing your breath.
That was huge. Yeah, that was massive. I still remember doing that, and I couldn't bend down to actually tie my shoes up, and then one day I did it, and I was like, oh, wow, that was great.
That was cool. Yeah.
Massive NSV. That was still to date one of the biggest things that it shocked me that hey, this is something that I just did every day, and it was a limitation then, and then one day I just did it, and then it was just appreciating it and taking that little thing, and it turned into another thing, and then another thing, and it was that snowball effect of just chasing that accomplishment and then appreciating it, because that's sometimes the biggest thing is I can do stuff and not appreciate it these days, but I got to really put my head in and be like validate yourself through these successes.
Remember where you came from.
Yeah, no matter how big or small, just take your time to appreciate them, and it'll drive you forward. It'll be fuel to put you where you want to be. So yeah.
Well, Shannon, there's no doubting that you're one remarkable human.
Well, stop it, leader.
You've been such an inspiration to myself and so many other people in this community. And if I didn't meet you when I did, I think that my journey would have been very different to what it is now. You definitely keep me on my toes and doing my fair share of crazy things. But thank you for sharing your journey and being so open and honest and raw with us all. And we look forward to seeing what other epic things you get up to in 2021.
Appreciate it. We look forward to having some amazing guests on this year. I know you're going to have me back again.
Yeah,
How
gosh.
exciting. But no, honestly, we have some amazing guests that we're hoping to get on. Keep moving forward. We want to keep it in the bariatric community and keep going through, different people in the community, because I do feel like everyone has their own little lesson to teach. Whether we integrate really inspirational people or nutritionists and stuff, it could be something we look into. We'd love to hear your feedback, whether you want to keep it amongst the guests, whether you want to amongst the bariatric community, or whether you want to hear from experts. We're happy just to,
keep doing what we're doing.
Doing what we're doing. Like, we love hearing everyone's stories. Honestly, some of the stories just absolutely blow my mind, and I love getting to know people more and stuff like that. But we'd love to get your feedback, because at the end of the day, this is about helping others, helping us, helping,
for you guys.
Yeah.
Also, thank you all so much for the messages that we've been getting.
It's amazing messages.
There's just so heartwarming.
You don't need to, but it is nice to have those messages and know that people hear you. Because sometimes it's like, we're talking to these bikes, we're talking to Lita. I know Lita hears me, and sometimes she's like, I wish I didn't hear you. But it's nice to know that people hear you, and it's helping.
Like, we see the numbers, but it's nice to know that people actually are listening and resonating. And that's what we do it for. And I've so enjoyed bringing this platform, and I'm really excited about all the people to come on next year. This year.
Like, the messages are kind of proving what I kind of already knew. This is something I would have wanted when I first started out, because I wanted, to obviously hear what I'm to expect and different things like that. So hearing that feedback and people saying, yes, it's helping me, it's making my decision up, it's helping me, through the early stages. That's what it's all about.
And
I
the
love
beauty
that.
is that it's stories from the patient's mouths.
Exactly.
The good, the bad, the ugly, the
Whatever
inspirational.
Everything but a mixture. But anyway.
Thanks, Shan. Speak to you next week.
Hopefully the guests get better from here on in. That is another episode of Bari Banter. Why, yes, that is another episode of Bari Banter in the books. We hope you got a little something from that one.
Head on over to Facebook or Instagram and check us out, or go to baribanter.com, where you can watch past episodes, give us feedback, and let us know who you want to hear from next.
We love you all, and as always, please stay beautiful.